but they've learned to be entitled because all they've heard their entire life, and this is somewhat of a generational issue. And I'm just going to use your name. Erica, you're the best. Erica, you're the best on the team. Erica, you're way better than the other girl that's starting in front of you. Erica, you are the most skilled player I've ever seen in my life. That creates entitlement.
Dave, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, Erica, thank you so much for having me once again. I'm beyond excited for this one. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. It's a topic that needs to be addressed.
It for sure does. And I think when we're talking about bad attitudes in young athletes, a lot of people tend to get offended, whether you're a parent or a coach who hasn't disciplined enough. But this is extremely important for sports, for life, and making sure your young athlete is someone who is respectful to authority, is someone their teammates want to be around, their coach looks forward to coaching them, and they just do basic things like showing up on time, saying please and thank you, not goofing off when the coach is talking. And I know we were discussing before we got on here, but you and I have been coaching for many years. You're a few decades ahead of me, but combined, we've been in this for a while. And we agreed that we recently have seen this shift, and not a good one. We've seen a shift in the past few years with more young athletes not being disciplined enough and having bad behavior at trainings and practices. And worse yet, when we've called them out on their bad behavior, it seems as if it's the first time they've heard this,
Hmm.
which is shocking to me. And I'm talking about high school kids. I am talking about high school kids. And I'll give an example from last summer. This is a beyond crazy one. So I hate when my athletes are late. It is my biggest pet peeve. I'm the coach who is
Hmm.
always there 15 minutes early. I'm super old fashioned. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you are late. Even if you're 10 seconds late, you are freaking late. And this one girl, she showed up late her first day. And at first, I was like, okay, it's her first day, but I still had a conversation with her after. I was like, you need to be on time. And that's always the expectation up front. Just something very basic that you should do as an athlete. And then
Right.
she shows up late a second time. And I don't care if it's 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes. Again, you're still late. So the second time she shows up late, I don't let her do the workout. I make her sit on the sideline with me and watch everyone else while they're doing their speed day. She gets in the car, goes home. I get a pissed off text message from her dad. And you
Hmm.
would think that her dad would send me a text, we're so sorry we were late. We were in the
Hmm.
wrong. She woke up late, or it was my fault. He didn't take any responsibility for anyone. He blamed it on me and yelled at me for sending his daughter home because
Hmm.
she was late. And that blew my mind that he was defending his daughter and not me as a coach, an authority who was trying to
Hmm.
discipline his daughter. And I don't know if you've had anything like that before, where the parent will defend the kid's bad behavior and not meeting the expectations of the coach. It was crazy to me. And then they ended up
Hmm.
stopping training with me because of that, because I called them out for being late multiple times. That's where we're at.
That is where we're at. First of all, I want to commend you for doing the right thing in terms of the consequence. Far too many coaches would have punished that athlete with laps or extra sprint drills or push-ups and I am a huge proponent of not using, say it that way, not using exercise as a punishment. Because if there's one thing we need to do as sports performance coaches and soccer coaches is help young athletes develop a positive relationship with movement and exercise in their sport. And that does not do it. The studies are there. You can go look them up on your own, everybody. not you, Erica. But you did the right thing. You didn't punish her with the consequence was not physical, right? The consequence was you don't get to participate. You don't get to do the things you really want to do. And that, believe me, is far more powerful. Why? FOMO. Now she has a fear of missing out, hopefully. That's a difficult situation though, because you don't know why they were late, right? You sometimes if it's a younger kid, it's almost always the parent, unless the kid wasn't prepared. That happens all the time where mom or dad's like, "Hey, Erica, it's time to go to, see Coach Erica. Let's hop in the car." Well, I don't have my stuff. You've been sitting on the couch for an hour on your phone. Why? What do you mean you're not prepared? So it's you know it's the kid's fault, but sometimes it is the parent, like they get home from school, whatever. I think what really put parents, you need to know this, and kids, what puts us over the edge as coaches, people that are in charge of helping you become better at your sport and as human beings, is when if you're late, you're late. Stuff happens, right? I freak if I'm not like, if it's a 5 o'clock session or 5 o'clock anything, if I'm not there early. I personally freak over that. I can tell you this, if I was ever even close to being late to a practice, I was sprinting onto the field. So sorry, coach. So sorry I'm late. Like, what do I need to get warmed up, or can I just jump in? There's no, when you just walk, you walk in slow, heads down, you kind of like, oh, still have to put on my shoes, change out of my Crocs into my shoes, or grab my water, or like, sup. Like that attitude, that character, that behavior is what puts us over the edge. And it's more, you have to know this, it's more so we want the best for you, and that is not putting your best foot forward. Okay. And we need to not just prepare you for practices and sessions and games, but life. At some point, you're going to have a career doing something, and it's respect, it's integrity, it's character. And I'll tell you something, we've talked about this. Skill might get you on that team, but your character and behavior is what's going to keep you on it, and it's going to keep you on the starting lineup. And that's without even going into, and I'll lean on you for this one, that you've directly done far more in our industry than I have, recruiting. I will just say this as a flatline basic statement. I can't tell you the number of coaches I've talked to that have taken super talented kids off of their list because of character. That's it. Character. So character and behavior, it needs to be addressed. I have, we talked beforehand, as we always do. I have a couple of thoughts on as to some of the issues that are contributing to this change in behavior that we're seeing in kids, change in character. But also, I think just as important, if not more important, because if not, it's just a rant. Like, what are some solutions that I've seen help? Like, they for sure help. But kudos to you for doing the right thing and not being like, run laps, or give me, like, because I see that, and that's just lazy coaching on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like the way I see care as a coach or care as
Hmm.
a parent, love as a parent, is not praising someone and enabling bad behavior and continuing it to go on. I think true care and love is being tough and disciplined because you
Hmm.
want to bring out the best in these kids. You want them to be on time, to give an effort, to be intentional in training, to not be talking while you're explaining a drill and be fully focused on that session. And I think when even just coaches allow those things to happen and they don't really pay attention to it, it really just sends a message to the kid that, oh, I can just keep doing this. It's totally okay. And I even have a couple girls now who are doing my off-season program, and their parents told me that the club coach just lets them goof off at practice. It's three of them and they're all best friends, and the coach just kind of lets them goof off. And I'm like, well, they're going to be shocked when I'm not going to let them do that. And they're
Hmm.
not goofing off anymore. They're very serious. They almost look a little bit pissed off that they're not able to kind of goof off as
Right.
much. But it's one of those things. It's like, hate me now, thank me later, because you're going to get a lot out of this training. You're going to learn
Hmm.
actual hard work and focus
Hmm.
and effort. And I think true love and care as adults is letting kids know when they are wrong and not
Hmm.
overly praising them. And I know you mentioned that's part of the problem with
Hmm.
parenting and with coaching is some people are just saying good job all the time, or my kid's perfect, they can do no wrong. And I think it's led to all this. And I kind of joked with
Hmm.
you. I was like, you know what? I blame my generation of millennial parents. They are freaking terrible. I'm sorry. We
Hmm.
we all grew up in this time of social media and oversharing our highlight reel and all of our kids on social media. And I think millennials are just a total disaster with parenting. And I'm a millennial,
Well,
everyone, so I'm calling myself out too here.
let's just, let's be honest. Every generation has their issues, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you started where you started, because for me, to put all this in context, kids haven't changed. What coaches are experiencing is it's and teachers and parents and sports coaches and all of us, we're experiencing a changed kid, and that's different. They're not born like these entitled kids with bad attitudes, right? Kids are sponges. They're magnets to stimulus, right? And starting with a very, very young age, their brains are what we call neuroplastic. Like they're sponges. They learn extremely fast. So they are learning from their experiences and the way that they're parented, right? And the way that they're dealt with. And, in psychology or in behavioralism, at least, there's an antecedent, there's behavior, and there's a consequence. That's a given with everything in every single situation. It's not negative or positive. It's just the way that human nature is in terms of behavior. So, like, the antecedents have changed, so the behavior has changed, and now when there are consequences, they can't deal with them, right? So the kids are the same kids, they're still human beings. We need to start to, in my opinion, and this starts with parenting, because as coaches, we only see your kids 2 or 3 times a week if we're lucky for an hour, hour and a half, as opposed to the rest of their lives. We need to start to change their expectations and change the way that they're spoken to and what they're praised for. So I gave you some context in terms of they're not different. They're acting differently because they've learned to do that. We're teaching kids how to behave. There's in psychology, and I know this through my own um, journey with therapy, is you teach people how to treat you by the way you react and the way you speak to them and what you allow them to do, right? So we're teaching kids how to treat other people as well. So I want to go back to what you just said, is the praise. What we're seeing, in my opinion, now are kids that are behaving in a way that is entitled. And why? And I'm not taking them off the hook. They have to have personal responsibility and accountability, but they've learned to be entitled because all they've heard their entire life, and this is somewhat of a generational issue in the way in parenting styles, is, and I'm just going to use your name, Erica, you're the best. Erica, you're the best on the team. Erica, you're way better than the other girl that's starting in front of you. Erica, you are the most skilled player I've ever seen in my life. And that creates entitlement because you're just showing up thinking you're the best. Whether you're telling yourself these things or you're hearing them over and over and over again, your subconscious mind believes that they are true, whether they are or not. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between reality and fiction, right? So when you're constantly told you're the best, you're the best, you're the fastest, you're better than everybody else on your team. You shouldn't even be on this team. You should be on the next team up. You should be starting over that girl. Your brain believes it whether it's true or not, right? So there's no accountability for behavior or anything. I just show up thinking I'm the best. And God forbid if someone corrects me to try to help me, especially if it's in a life situation like being late, like, what? Sit? I'm the best. Like, I do what I want when I want because I can. I'm the best. Like, ask my mom, ask my dad, right? So we get these, and I just want to peek at my notes real quick because um, I want to make sure I stay on task. It's unwarranted praise. It's untruthful praise at sometimes. And I have kids. We see them through rose-colored glasses. Like, I think my kids are the best because I love them that much. But I also call them out when they're not being their best or when they can do better. And that, as you mentioned this word love, that is loving on your kids. And unfortunately, adults, especially whether it's in our field or parenting, they feel like it's mutually exclusive. They either have to be really tough or really nice. No, you can hold kids accountable, right? And you can 100% coach them hard, parent them hard with kindness and love. It doesn't involve screaming or physical consequences in any shape, way, or form. It may be you did not follow through with what you were supposed to do. I'm taking this away. Like, that's what I grew up with. It was called being grounded. How many parents would take a kid's phone away for the night? Just one night if something goes sideways. That's a consequence. It doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean you're a bad kid. It doesn't mean I hate you. It doesn't mean your life is over. I said not to do this. You did it anyway. You disobeyed what you were supposed to do. There's a consequence and it's done. I'm sorry I have to take your phone away, but I do. I have to follow through. And if that happened more, so now we start to get into the solutions a little bit, that would change things. And I want to make this clear as well. If we just talk about like like unwarranted praise and like you're the best, so I can't tell my kid they did a good job. No, stop thinking in absolutes. It's what you say within that's important. Praise effort. Always praise effort if it's there, if it's warranted. Praise great character. Praise integrity. I'm really proud of you for practicing on your own and putting that much effort in. It's really going to pay off for you, whether you realize it or not. That's different than, Erica, you're the best. You're the best player I've ever seen. Even if, you know, even if you are, like with me, my parents weren't athletes growing up. So a lot of times I was the best athlete they'd ever seen, except for on TV, because they never watched the kid grow up and become better at a sport. Um, so anyway, that's a side note. So praise the things that really matter. Praise character, praise behavior, praise effort, praise being a great teammate, praise, hey, I saw you look at your coach in the eye and shake their hand and say thank you. Praise that, whether it's little or big, and watch them again change. So kids have changed. Help them change. Guide them by showing them through your words and actions what's really important. So for the first one, for entitlement and starting to flip the switch, if you will, we have to start praising the right things. I still think praise is extremely important, but it has to be the right things, not a blanket, you're the best thing since sliced cheese.
Hey guys, just want to take a quick moment to shout out our sponsor, Simply Faster, and one of my favorite speed timing systems from them, the Free Lap. I use it for my own sprint training as well as for my athletes, and they love it. It's super easy to set up, you can take it to the field on your own, and you can get accurate speed times to track your progress. Check the Free Lap link in the caption below to start adding timing into your speed sessions. If you know me, you know I love my Free Lap. If you're serious about speed, it's time to start timing.
Oh, I love all of it, and
I
there
mean, I'm
is.
getting fired up
I
because
know.
like
Well, we're
this
just
is a
we're just
real
warming up.
problem. It's a real problem for kids, and this might sound, oh, now he's just being all, it's hyperbole. It's a societal issue
It is.
because I don't want I don't want kids to eventually be trying to pursue a career and be like, what the hell? Everything I do, I feel like I'm doing wrong. And you show up to late to work one day and there's a consequence, right? Or you show up late to an interview and you wondered why you didn't get the job, even if you may be more qualified. But you show up to the interview late, just like you do to practice, kind of sauntering in. Hey, what's up? You're lucky to have me here because I'm the best, right? That's a very real thing, and we don't want that to happen for the individuals or for our society as a whole.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to just dissect there, but I think I want to come back to your first point, and I so agree with you on this is I don't think the kid has changed or the whole kids are entitled or lazy nowadays. It's like, well, who made them that way? Because kids are
Hmm.
the ones who are molded depending on the environment that they're in, whether it's at home
Hmm.
or the coaching environment on their club team or with their performance coach or skills trainer. Any adult in their lives, they're the ones who impact the child's behavior. And I think the over praising or the untruthful praise from the adults is definitely part of the problem. And like you said, I've heard parents say, well, my child is perfect. And they literally say it in front of their kid. And then to the kid, it's like, well, I can never do any wrong. And like you said, when they don't make that team one day, or they don't start one day, or they don't get that job, they're going to be floored. They're going to be like, wait a minute, I grew up
Hmm.
being told I was the best. I was perfect. I could do no wrong. And now what? I can't get a job and like no one wants me. There's just so many long-term repercussions to it. And I really think it is that deep. So parents, coaches listening, any adult listening really needs to take this seriously. And
Hmm.
I also think, like, just to support the argument that it's the adults molding the kids, I mean, I'm sure you can say you have a lot of athletes who show up with a great attitude, who show up on time, who say please and thank you, who offer to help with the equipment, or who encourage their teammates or help the other girls there. Like, I have a lot of those kids, and I'm sure you do this too. I look at their parents and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. Their parents are respectful people. They have good family values, and the
Hmm.
apple doesn't fall far.
Hmm.
You can see, like, when you have the good kids and then the kids who are misbehaving, you're like, oh, okay, I look at the parent, that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
I
They
hate to say
learn.
it. I really hate to
They
say
learn
it.
by example more than anything else, right? And for coaches that are watching this, one thing you can do is, again, going to hold them accountable and be kind. This is a very real situation. Kids will be leaving my practice or my session, and kid will just turn to leave, which is okay, right? But I would say something like, "Hey Jake, thanks Coach Dave. We'll see you next time." And they look at me like I'm not mad at you. Come over here, shake my hand. You had a great session. We both worked really hard. Let's give it to each other. Like that's respect, right, buddy? Like that's how you can talk to especially a high school kid. Teach them. He comes over, shakes my hand. No, bud, look me in the eye. Come on, right? Like encourage. Like, is that such tough love that they're gonna hate coming to see me? No, they have more respect. They want to be there even more. And the same thing will happen in your household. Have expectations and hold them to it. And sometimes, like for Jake in this scenario, Erica, the consequences, he couldn't leave yet. We were going to have that 30-second talk. Not, next time you come, you're going to run, or there's no like huge negative consequence. We're going to learn from this and then come back. And I will do that as many times as it takes till it starts to become a habit with them. Same thing when they walk in the door. And I know this is how kids talk to each other, and we had our ways of talking, speaking with each other as well growing up. But when someone comes into one of my sessions or practices and I say, "Hey, Erica, great to see you. How's it going? Sup?" And I will say, "Hey, Coach Dave, how are you?" And they look at me. Again, I'll preface it. You know me. I'm not mad at you. Let's say hi to me for a second here. Right. And I've taught, I just have tons of stories at this point in my career, but I'll tell them a story about how that can really affect other people. So they can like, oh, really? It's not just you being hard on me or whatever. And explain to them the importance of that down the road. The import like it's tough though, because a kid, like they can't see a week ahead. They're not thinking, oh, if someday a college recruiter is talking with me, I better speak to them with respect and look them in the eye and speak clearly, right? They're not thinking that. And in fact, because of the conversation that you and I are having right now for parents, coaches, and kids, it's more, well, I'm the best. So I'm just going to show up and the recruiter's going to be like, hey, where do you want to go to school? But that is not, it's not the reality. And I want to say this because I like I don't like when people are mad at me, but parents be mad at me. Great parents make bad decisions. Parents, have you ever heard the phrase good kids make poor decisions sometimes? Like, yeah, I did. Like we all were like, oh, this seems like a good idea, and then you might get in trouble for it, or you don't get caught and you're like, I shouldn't have done that. It's not even conscious decisions sometimes, but great parents sometimes will make poor decisions on behalf of their kids. And everything you do or don't do with your kids is a decision. Let's make that clear. The way you speak to them or don't speak to them, when you choose to call them out or not, or hold them accountable or give them expectations, it all matters. And I get it. Again, I'm a dad. You're just doing the best that you can, but continue to really do the best that you can and don't just rely on they'll be fine. Because unknowingly, kids are starting to become extremely entitled, rude, and display behavior and character is really not becoming of them or what anyone would want to see.
I think just coming back to the whole idea of character and how coaches look at young athletes is character is actually what we remember them for and value them
Hmm.
for. A lot of us coaches were like we love when we have freak athletes or good players on the field, but when push comes to shove, I don't remember the athlete who was like the fastest I ever trained or who went to like D1. I always remember those kids who always had a good attitude in training, who, even though they weren't showing up perfectly, they still gave an effort on an off day. And
Hmm.
I think that's really important to hammer home as parents. See your kids beyond just the sports talent or the
Hmm.
physical qualities, like, oh, they're fast or they're strong. Like those are great things, but like Dave said, are you praising that effort and that character and that focus and respect towards authority and their coaches? I
Hmm.
think that goes such a long way. And you mentioned college recruiting earlier in the conversation, and I've worked in this space before, and I can tell you it is competitive now. Everyone is good. Everyone is a good athlete. So it's like, what is your kid doing to add to the culture of a college program? Because, like you said, Dave, I know college coaches who have not taken players who were extremely talented, but they had a
Hmm.
piss poor attitude and they were lazy. They
Hmm.
were only good in the games they felt on, and then when they weren't on, they kind of pouted and gave up. And college coaches pull those kids from their programs and into the transfer portal they go. And for the
Hmm.
high school, the parents of high schoolers listening, you're not only competing against other high schoolers in the top leagues, but you're competing against international players and you're competing against the thousands of players that are in college already in the transfer portal. So it's
Hmm.
like you can't just get away with good talent now. I mean, I would say that's a bare minimum at this point.
I agree with you. As a caveat to all of that, I think what kids need to be taught, right, is when you get to high school and now you're on your high school team, you are representing your high school and every kid that goes there, whether you like it or not. So here's a quick example, right? And some parents will use a story like this when parenting their kids. Like, you know, you have a group of kids and a couple kids start doing something bad, like vandalizing the bathroom at the high school, something stupid like that. You were in that bathroom, but you didn't do it. You had nothing to do with it. You were in that bathroom, and those are your friends, but you were just kind of standing there.
Mm.
You are now associated with those actions, right? A high school and especially a college sees that the same way. You are representing that school when you are not on campus, right? So it's like, oh, that kid on that soccer team for Johns Hopkins, they're a bunch of rude, like entitled, blah blah blah, because
Mhm.
that's the way you acted toward the ref, the other players, the other team, your own teammates. It's character. School doesn't want that, and they don't have to take a chance on you. They do not. Because as Erica said, there are other kids that are just as good, if not better, with just as good a grades, if not better, that they can take. There's
And
just there's just too many.
And I think it turns into a liability for club
Mm-hmm.
coaches, high school coaches, college coaches to bring someone
Mm-hmm.
into their culture that is cancerous to it. Because
100%.
maybe their culture is already good and really established. Like they want to protect that. So if your kid doesn't fit into that, it's a liability because they don't want it to ruin that amazing culture. And I've had that with a lot of my training. I let the girls know before our summer off season, this is what defines ES athletes. They're disciplined, they work hard, they're kind to others. Everyone here is from a different club in the area. A lot of you guys are actually club rivals and always play against each other. But when we're here, we are all having one mission, and that's to get better and train hard. And I lay that expectation right away. And then, you don't get the riffraff coming into the program because I don't want our culture to look bad if we have
Mm-hmm.
just even just one person sticking out and having that bad attitude just doesn't make it look good. So it's a liability for coaches, and we're also trying to protect our image too.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you went where you just went. this is another solution for the issue. And let me just illustrate the issue is there's a lack of expectations
Mm-hmm.
outside of the expectation is I'm the best. The expectation is I just have to show up. The expectation is I act the way that I act and you deal with it, right? The expectation is I can show up late. I'm one of the best players that ever lived and I'm 12. Right? It's literally their that's what their brains or subconscious thinks. It's not even that much of a conscious thought. So what's the solution? You said the magic word, expectations. I call it set, guide, and anchor. Every single session or practice session starts with set, then you guide, and then you anchor. And this can be done at home as well. Let me an example, whether it's for a soccer team or sports performance training, whether it's one-on-one or groups. You set expectations and you consistently do it so that they know it like it's the back of their hand, like they know it like they know their name. I've always had four. You could use three depending on what works for your situation and what you feel comfortable with. But mine, it revolved around listening, respect, hard work, and fun. Like, yeah, you were expected to have fun. With older athletes, we would actually talk about, I expect you to allow yourself to have fun. Because that's a whole nother podcast, but that's an issue. And we talk about each one, right? We're going to talk about full body, paying attention, listening. When the coach is speaking, you're listening. When a teammate is speaking, you're listening. Not just not talking and you're looking over here or you're thinking, like you are paying attention, right? And then you have them agree to that, either verbally or otherwise. When I'm in groups, I have everybody clap twice. Now we have this like auditory contract. Like, do you agree to listen, full body listening? And I don't care if it's a 6-year old or an 18-year old. If you agree, clap twice. Okay, you all agreed. So now, guess what? I can hold you accountable to listening. So if Erica, you're talking while I'm talking as a coach, I'm not going to make you run laps. I'm not going to make you do push-ups, but I am going to say, Erica, can you remind all of us what rule number one is?
Yep.
I'm not yelling at you. And if you don't know because you're new, Erica, it's okay. Julie, do you know rule number one? Will you just let everybody know? No talking when the coach is talking or listening. Great. Erica, just do a little bit better job because I don't want you to miss out on what I'm saying because I really want you to get better. And I think this is going to help you.
Yeah, I've used that
It
one
doesn't
too.
have to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Stop talking. There's no learning there. And taking that time as a coach changes everything. So guide. I just went into the guide. I set the expectation. The guiding is if someone is talking, you bring them right back to rule number one or that expectation, right? And then sometimes you have to say, Erica, if it's like an ongoing thing, I might bring you to the side and say, Erica, what's rule number one? Yeah. Can you do a better job? Because not only like you're not hearing what we're doing next, but the person you're talking to is not hearing it either. So they don't know what to do. That's not fair to them, is it? No. All right, let's go. Come on, let's go. Right.
Yeah.
Rule number two, respect. I've always put it as, treat others as you want to be treated. In my settings with athletes, I've always said treat each other like friends, family, or teammates. Because for me, it's all the same. But whatever way you think about that, that's how you're going to treat them. Right. And I'm never going to cut down Erica. She's on my team. She's my best friend. So that's what we expect. And again, guide it. You call them out like I just did with the listening. If you have to, you nip it in the bud.
Hmm.
Effort, they all know what effort is, but do they know what it means? So sometimes, even if it's an older, like I'm working with an elite, U18 club team, like, yeah, effort can be vague as a word. I'm talking about when you don't want to do it, you still do it, right? And the younger the kids, I'll talk about, should you still try hard even though you're tired? Yes. Should you still brush your teeth when your parents tell you to instead of hemming and hawing and pulling a tantrum? Yes, you should just make the effort and go brush your teeth. Like, just be done with it, right? Should you do your homework when you don't feel like doing it? Yeah. So we talk about effort. And then again, because of what I do, and I used to talk about this with my kids too in our home, because my kids are older now. Like, there's an expectation of having fun. When they were little, I'd say, "Bud, I want you to have as much fun as humanly possible without your head exploding. Like, can you do that?" "Yeah, Dad." I'm like, "All right, go do it." Right? And when they were little, I say, obviously your head's not going to explode, Trev, but like, have as much fun as you can, but still focus, right? So, and again, you have them agree to these and then you guide it. You guide it. If you see anything less than effort, Erica, you okay? I know you can try harder than that. Come on, let's go. Effort has rewards, right? It's going to make you better. Trust me. Let's go. Not making you run because you didn't try hard on the last drill. I'm not making you do push-ups. Now you have this incentive, right? Like, you're encouraged to do better. So I've gone over 4 things. I've gone over ways to guide it just a little bit. The most important thing is anchoring all of this. You praise them at the end. If you're working with a group of kids, I always picked an MVP or a champion of the day for my practices, my training sessions, or if it's one-on-one, hey, I really need to tell you what you did great at today. And it wasn't your PR. It wasn't when you went bins from 18 yards out in practice today. You did great today because I've never seen you listen and pay attention so much. And it really showed in the way that you played. You really showed me your character today. Great job. Anchor it down. If you're working with a group and you choose an MVP or a champion of the day, all-star of the day, or whatever, and it's based on character, based on your expectations, guess what starts to happen very, very, very quickly? Everybody wants that praise at the end. So everybody is getting homogenized, not to go bins, not to have a PR, not to like win at whatever speed and agility race we're doing or have the best time. They are competing to see who can have the best character. What? Oh yeah, everybody's working hard. They're improving their performance. Like, so from a coaching standpoint, you can have it all. It's not mutually exclusive. There's no screaming, there's no yelling. If it does get out of hand, I'll say this, you do what Erica did. Why don't you go have a drink of water and sit? And when you're ready to come back and do a little bit better job at rule number 2, love to have you. We need you. We want you. But right now, you need to take a break. But no, I'm not running you. That I'm not making you do push-ups or whatever.
The punishment is not being able to do the session and get better with the rest of the kids, which
Mm-hmm.
is more painful, and sends an even stronger
Mm-hmm.
message. I've done that
FOMO.
with my young ones before when they're kind of acting up and getting
Mm-hmm.
all giggly for too long while I'm talking. I'll go on the opposite end of the field,
Yep.
sit crisscross, back facing them, and I'm like, guys, I'm gonna sit here until you're ready to listen and continue the session. Then they all run over to me and they're like, Coach Erica, we're ready to go. Like, and then I'm like, okay, like, but next time you do that, I'm going back, sitting crisscross, and my back is gonna be facing you guys until you're
Mm-hmm.
ready.
Fear of missing out.
Yeah,
Fear is a
exactly.
much, much stronger trigger than the goal ever. I mean, it's psychology 101. It's in like anyone who's ever studied marketing, that's one of the first things you learn is what what's their fear? What's their pain point? What are they fearful of missing out on? because that's a stronger trigger than what the goal actually is, or having success. So, um, and again, like we're talking to parents today, almost primarily, you can take these same things home. We just had one the other day. We're having a team meeting. I mean, we're all athletes, so we call it a team meeting. It's summertime. What do? We laid out expectations. What are their responsibilities within our house so that our house can run well, and it stays a nice clean house, and we have pride in our house, we have integrity, we're helping each other out, and we can find stuff, and like all the things we want to make a household run smoothly. We figured out what we needed from the kids. Now they have expectations, and we actually spoke early this morning. We need to have another team meeting because we need to follow up on those expectations and ask them if they can do better. And it's not like you're not in trouble. You're not grounded because you didn't empty the dishwasher when you knew it was full. Like, we're just asking you, if the dishwasher's full and it's clean, don't just leave your dirty dishes everywhere. Like, do us a favor and unload the dishwasher. It's not a corporal punishment, right?
Right.
So all these little things add up. So now that we can get these kids to change out of entitled, like, behavior issues, character issues, we start going in the direction that we want to go. You can love on them and be kind and hold them accountable all at the same time. And can I just say one more thing? Because I can tell you're like, you want to jump in. I have to get this out. This is a very real thing. I was talking to our 12-year-old because we were talking, and I go to him a lot because he's very insightful for a 12-year-old. And I said, what's the best, like, when mom and I like praise you after a soccer game or at all, like, what do you love that we say the most? You know what he said? And I didn't tell him what we were talking about. I just asked that question. You know what he said? I hate when you just tell me I'm awesome.
Wow.
I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, because like, and he does. He's one of those kids, practices on his own. Like, he's just like one of those kids. And he's like, because I work so hard, and I appreciate it, and I love that you think that of me, but like I still think I have to improve. And I'm like, all right, well, what do you love the most though? He's like, I just love it when you tell me you love me and you're proud of me because I work so hard. And it almost, like, I get emotional because like he had a game recently where he didn't score, he didn't have an assist, and I could tell he was like, oh, because when you're 12, you want to score goals, and they won, which was fine. But I'm like, I put my arm around him, like, I'm so proud of you because you showed so much grit and you dug in so hard against a bigger kid and you never gave up. I hope you're proud of yourself for that, because that stands out more than the 3 goals that Aiden scored. His goals were
Mhm.
great, but like watching you play, I just love that. And he lit up. That kind of praise is real because it was based on character, effort, perseverance, grit, like the things he has control over. That's the other thing, Erica. He doesn't have control over being awesome.
Right. Because you'll make
And
mistakes in every game.
100%.
You'll make skill mistakes, but I think character mistakes, there's no excuse for that. You can always control character.
Hmm. Yep.
Mhm.
The harder he got hit, the faster he got up, and the more he just wanted to battle. He played clean, like, and that has to be like praised. Nothing against any coaches, but guaranteed after the game. Great job, Aiden. Scored a hat trick today. We won 3-2. like coaches, you need to really look for, like, read in between the lines, like for each player. What did they do really well that game? Maybe like our outside back, I'm like, oh, I think Colin really made great decisions today. Didn't always turn out right because he's 12. He's going to make technical mistakes, but he made really good decisions. And this, we always talk about sport is like it's a microcosm of life. It goes the other way too. Let's take all these examples I'm giving for soccer and put it in your house. Like, what did you do really well today? Ask your kid instead of saying, how was school? What did you do today that really made you proud of yourself in school?
Mm.
And in the beginning, if you don't ask that question a lot or ever, they might be like, I don't know. And they just wait, or give them examples if they're young. For, did you do anything for anyone else? Like your teacher or another teammate? Did you help anyone out? Like, and it could be the smallest thing. Well, I did notice, so and so we were supposed to clean up and they didn't see they dropped their pencil next to their desk, and I picked it up and I gave it to them. I'm like, that's good. That's character. You could have ignored it, but it's the little things. That's how you become an everyday hero. You just do little things for people. And I'll go back to what you said. That's what people remember. They're a great kid. What great character. What great behavior.
Yeah.
That's what the good juice is.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I mean, you've been coaching for a long time. I've been coaching for a long time, and we can tell you, coaches remember character. Like, there's so
Hmm.
many amazing athletes that stand out to me, but when I really think of them, it's like, wow, she did work on her own. She was disciplined with her nutrition. She was constantly focused in training and so locked in, or, constantly asking questions and wanting to learn. Like, those are the girls that always stand out. Even girls who I coached 10 years ago back in the day in Maryland, those
Hmm.
ones stand out. And then when you do have the bad eggs every now and then, they stand out too, but not in a good way because us coaches are like, oh my gosh, that was such a pain. Like
Right.
even after we talked to them, they still like they just weren't changing. Like that was such a pain in the you know what.
Yeah, and I just had this thought too. There's so many specific, it's just like with everything else that we do, Erica. There's so many specific like examples or situations. I just want to say this, like reach out to Erica, reach out to myself if you have like, oh, I don't know how to deal with this. Is it too late? Like reach out to us. It's never too late. I'm 54. I'm still learning how to be a better dad, a better coach, a better person. Like it's never too late. Um, so if you're feeling stuck, definitely like reach out. Don't try to do it on your own,
And
right?
Dave, that I want to jump in there before I forget, but I love that you said that you are still trying to be the best parent you can be. And like we said, no one's perfect. Us coaches aren't
Hmm.
perfect, parents aren't perfect. But I think the key is when you do have that solid foundation of expectations as a coach or your values as a family, your children are more likely to chase those. If you don't have
Hmm.
that firm foundation, then yeah, it's going to be chaotic. They're not going to know what is right and what is wrong. So as long as you have that foundation, you as a family, you as a coach and a team can continue to work towards that standard the best you can. There will be days where you might fall short, but the key is you have the standard set in place and you do better next time. I think
Hmm.
you have to have values, morals, a solid foundation in the household and as a coach or as a soccer club or whatever.
And it's okay to say, Erica, I'm sorry I messed up.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to communicate that better with you to help you.
Think the ownership is key here.
Yes,
And
it's an example.
and coming back to my first story about the dad not owning up to their mistake of being late or his daughter's mistake of being late, like all they had to do was own up and apologize because they didn't meet the standard. And that's fine, but there was no ownership of it, which is
Right.
what was the problem.
Mm-hmm. And right, and again, it's the whole antecedent to the way that you reacted as well was like she didn't sprint on the field. Oh my God, coach, I'm so sorry.
Oh no, she was
Like,
pouting. She was pouting as she walked up. She
yeah.
was slow and just
Mm-hmm.
tying her cleats slow. And I'm like, oh gosh.
Mm-hmm. I want to say this very quickly. This is more for coaches. That goes back to, in the beginning, I said, well, it's so easy to blame the kid, and sometimes it's partially the kid's fault. They're late, but they don't drive themselves unless they're able to drive. We also, coaches, I just want you to remember that you don't know what the household is like. And again, there's an antecedent, there's a reason for behavior, not an excuse, but there's a reason. So that's another reason why I choose to coach with love, with firmness, with kindness, with accountability, but knowing I don't know beyond what they tell me or what their life is like outside of the 2 to 3 hours I see them a week, out of the entire week. I don't know what they're dealing with. I don't know what if they're dealing with anything socially. There's always a reason, and I think that knowing that it doesn't just, oh, there's a reason, you just let it go. It helps you coach with compassion, right? And again, you're still going to have an expectation. You're going to guide it. You're going to anchor it. You're going to hold them accountable, but you're going to do it with compassion and kindness versus just a heavy hand.
Yeah. I think that's a great place to end. I mean, we talked about a lot today, and like Dave said, reach out if you need help or if you feel someone needs to hear this, share this
Hmm.
conversation, share it with a coach or another family, or share it with your kid, watch it with your kid. Are you guys setting your expectations and are you trying to live up to them the best you can to have good
Hmm.
character and a good attitude? So I think it could be really powerful for parents to watch this episode with their kid and just have an open
Mm.
discussion because I'm curious how many families like actually sit down like a coach sits down with a new team or has a team meeting before the season starts. At the same token, I wonder how many families sit down before the summer or before the next quarter. What are our values and are we meeting them? Or where did we fall short and how can we all do better? I'm really curious if people are sitting down and having these discussions or if it's just kind of a free for all and people are on their iPads and no one's really having these tough conversations. Really ask yourself that question because the family unit can be run like a coach to a sports team, adult to the kid. The
Hmm.
kids need that guidance. And I can only speak from the coach's perspective. You can speak
Hmm.
from both the coach and the parent perspective. And you're a parent of two athletes who've been through the system. So,
Hmm.
yeah, we really hope this was helpful for all the adults in a youth athlete's life. Dave, anything else to just kind of bring this all together because it was a
Hmm.
lot, but it was fun.
It was great. I'm hoping it comes across as not an indictment on any parents that we can all do better, right? I'll just say this, whether it's sports or at home, if we don't set those expectations, we really don't have any ammunition to get on them for not doing what we expected in our head. Make sure
Hmm.
they know, as the authority in the household, as the authority on the field or in the gym what your expectations are for them, I guarantee you they will live up to them. I guarantee it. It's again, it's psychology. When kids live up to the expectations set before them, whether they expect that out of themselves, like if I'm a behavior issue, everyone tells me that, so they start to live up to that, whether they really are or not, right? So set expectations, hold them accountable, and then at the end, anchor it. Just the other night, this is a real quick example. We were eating dinner, and I was like, guys, I just want to say, Mom and I were talking. So you're doing a great job with what we talked about last week. So far, so good. Nice job. Praise them.
Mm.
How are they supposed to know they're doing a good job with what they're supposed to do if you don't tell them, right? Versus everybody's awesome.
Yep.
But on the other side of it, we can't get down on kids if they're not doing what we expect, if we never told them what we expect in the first place. And I think that's a good place to end.
Mm.
So I
I
expect
agree.
you to talk to your kids.
I love it. So, yeah, guys, thank you for listening to this very powerful episode. I learned a lot as well. I think we're all still learning and we just want better out of our young athletes. And I think this is a needed conversation. It's an important conversation. So, again, if you enjoyed it, if you feel someone will resonate with it, please share. Sharing gets the message out there. I don't care about the likes or the subscribers. Share the conversation so people listen to it. So, Dave, thank you again, and I will see everyone next time.